What is up, my friends? It is Wednesday night. It is the late night agenda. And as always, I am here to try and keep you guys filled in on the latest with Liverpool's summer transfer business. There are conflicting reports today, and I'm going to try clear them up as best as I can. But you know the drill. I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Drop a like on the video. And of course, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. So let's start off with the conflicting reports. What are they and what's the truth? Well, today, James Pearce has come out and basically poo-pooed Liverpool's interest in Romeo Lavia. Let me read you out what he said, and then I can tell you why I respectfully disagree with James Pearce. So he said, Romeo Lavia is admired, but as things stand, they're not pursuing him. They do not believe they have a gap to fill currently, and they also feel that an asking price of about £50 million is too high for a teenager who's only made 17 more senior appearances than Stefan Bajcetic. Now, look, you can understand that thought process. It's not the most ludicrous thing you've ever heard. In fact, if you look at the price, it probably is a bit high for somebody who has only played 17 more senior games than Stefan Bajcetic, because we wouldn't be looking for 50 million for him, even though we only bought him for 300 grand. And I don't need an excuse to remind you of that. It's a brilliant signing. But I disagree with James Pearce on this one. My own information, for what it's worth, is that Liverpool have every intention to follow through and make a bid soon for Romeo Lavia. Now, I do think 50 million is a little bit high. Liverpool, I think, are looking at the 40 million guideline in the Manchester City buyback clause that doesn't come in until 2024, so we don't need to worry about that this summer with regards to Liverpool looking to sign the kid. Other than that, there is a bit of a shock potential departure today that may play into something that James Pearce said. He said it's believed at the club that we don't have a gap to fill. I respectfully disagree again. Liverpool have made it known far and wide that we want 3 midfield signings. So even with regards to whether it's a central defensive midfielder, an 8, or another type of midfielder, we still need to bring one more in. Nothing has changed in that regard. So I don't think that's necessarily true, what James Pearce said. But if you add in what has transpired, I guess, over the past 12 to 15 hours, is that Fabinho is of interest to Saudi Arabia. Now, at first, you kind of brush this off, and you're just thinking this is another one of those Saudi links like we've seen for Jordan Henderson, Thiago, Mohamed Salah late yesterday. But there is a little bit more to this one. So Nuno Espirito Santo is the manager over at Al Ittihad at the minute. And you may or may not know that he was the person who brought Fabinho to Europe when he was at Rio Ave in Portugal. So there's a relationship there. And also, we're looking to bring in somebody to compete with Fabinho. We've got Stefan Bajcetic, and if we do look to bring in Romeo Lavia, then maybe this is where James Pearce is going with a gap to fill in the squad. Because that would leave a fairly big gap. Now, the question is, would a 19-year-old Romeo Lavia and Stefan Bajcetic be adequate cover or adequate players to have in a midfield rebuild, both at a tender young age? And you can argue no. You can argue there isn't enough experience there. I do think, though, that this interest in Fabinho is real, and I do think we may see an offer coming. It's going to be very interesting to see if Liverpool accept any offer or not, or even what the valuation of Fabinho might be. Trying to think off the top of my head, he's, I think, got at least 2, maybe 3 years left on his Liverpool deal. I do have the list, but I don't have it to hand. So, taking into account his age, 40 million? Does that sound right? If 40 million came in, or anything close to that, I think Liverpool should consider it. I think they should consider it because they could reinvest that in somebody else. Now, there's another name that won't go away, and that is Federico Valverde. Now, I don't believe there's anything to this, but reports in Spain have suggested that Liverpool are waiting to see if Real Madrid are willing to sell him, and that they would be buyers at about 90 million euro. Now, we've heard songs like this before, right? We've been told that Liverpool have admiration for a player, that if the player did become available, then an offer would be forthcoming. Of course, I'm thinking about Bellingham, but I do know that Liverpool do have a long-standing interest in Federico Valverde, but I can't see an offer coming this summer. I can't help but go back to James Pearce's comments, though. This talk of us not having a space to fill, it's just not true. Whatever happens now, we need to add a third midfielder. The club have been tremendous in the business that they've done so far. None of us can be unhappy about that. Alexis McAllister, Dominic Szoboszlai, brilliant transfers. But we need at least one more. And that's before we potentially lose a Fabinho or a Thiago to Saudi Arabia or elsewhere. So I would argue that James Pearce is being a tad disingenuous there, because it's been known we need 3 midfielders. Now, Are we going to go in for Thuram? Is it going to be Lavia? Or are we going to be surprised maybe with somebody else? Truth is, all I can say to you is, today I had it confirmed to me that Liverpool's interest in Romeo Lavia is absolutely sincere. And much like Fabrizio has said, I do believe an offer will be forthcoming in the next week or so. After that, I don't know. I don't know if Liverpool will only put this offer in when they get the nod from the player, which is the norm. But if you look at the bookies odds today, Liverpool are 4 to 5 on, or 10 to 11. Two different bookies, two different odds. Either way, they're odds on to sign Romeo Lavia versus Arsenal, who were out with 2 to 1. Now, 2 to 1 isn't an astronomical odds, and it's certainly just a guide to the interest in the player. But if you're after dropping 105 million on Rice, and the money they've spent on Havertz, and they're bringing in a centre back, Arsenal have to be a little bit careful with their expenditure. So this brings me on to the last part of this video, and this is about Liverpool's search for a left centre back. And the club are huge, huge admirers of Levi Colwill, as am I, as I'm guessing you guys. But Liverpool are waiting to see if there's any indication from Chelsea that Liverpool would be okay to come in and put in an offer, because he has 2 years left on his deal, I believe, at Stamford Bridge. Pochettino is apparently excited about working with him, but up until now, Colwill has rebuffed any contract offers from Chelsea about extending his stay. He was, of course, on loan at Brighton last year, did really well, so much so that De Zerbi and Brighton put in one offer that was refused, and they never went back with a second because they thought they'd be wasting their time. Now, when I say that Liverpool are willing to go big, I mean big. I think you wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility to think that Liverpool could spend 60, 65 million on Levi Colwill without batting an eyelid. And I hope that that is sincere. Now, I'm going off what other people are saying on this, other journalists, about the serious level of interest. I have no contacts about this whatsoever, but I love the player. I would be very, very, very happy to see Levi Colwill come in. But this is going to be a difficult one because Chelsea are in the box seat. He's their player. His contract isn't really running down. 2 years to go, still plenty of time. So let's wait and see on this one. It looks like Mickey van der Ven could be about to edge his way to Spurs. There's offers going into Sporting at the minute. First one's been rebuffed. I think Spurs are going to go back with a second one. As Fabrizio has already said, wages aren't going to be an issue there. So it's down to Liverpool now about what we do. Personally, I'm pretty relaxed at this moment. I was a bit stressed last night about the Mo stuff, but thankfully today, nothing else has come of that so far. So that's put me a bit at ease. But Colwill and Romeo Lavia would be an incredible end to this window. Absolutely incredible. Now, I'm waiting to see what happens with Thiago, because apparently so far he's focused on settling at Liverpool for the season and doing his own thing after that. So now it's over to you guys. Do you think James Pearce is right and Liverpool simply won't go in for Colwill? Or excuse me, in for Lavia? Or do you think that the rest of the world is right and that Liverpool are severely interested? And Levi Colwill, would you go for him? What would be your ceiling price? And again, how do you think this window is going to finish? That is it from me for tonight, my friends. Do keep an eye out for more videos coming up. And of course, if you're watching this shortly after it goes out, you can come across to Twitch and join us for a live stream. I'll be on there till about 10:30, 10:45, something like that tonight. So as always, thank you for your support. Much love. And keep your eye out for a potential Cardiff show coming down the line. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.